Robin.
Okay. Just talk a little bit about today. A lot of it was standard operating procedure. I don't think there was anything out of the ordinary with the first parts. You had the appeals. Um, they didn't have as many people show up as maybe I had heard maybe 6 people.
And and the numbers are the numbers
Yeah,
for the most part, and those
yeah,
numbers obviously they're submitted by the schools, validated by LDOE. We match the numbers, and when they come in, we had two official appeals today, heard them both. But at the end of the day, the numbers are there, and then of course we got into the conversations about districts and other recommendations coming from the Football Coaches Association and others regarding those. Michael Federico, our director handling the technology side, walked everybody through where all the divisional sports, where everybody would fall. And now it's about, as you know, the next meeting is setting up the basic districts. And we're excited about getting that out there and getting anybody who wants to talk about where they've been placed or not placed. And that's always fun. And I say that kiddingly, but it is. I mean, at least you hear from the membership on where it would be. And we have the opportunity, and the committee has the opportunity to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down on whatever that recommendation might be.
but you also broach the elephant in the room that people have been talking about for months, and especially it picked up since the most recent vote to validate the definition of why you don't go ahead and district by divisions as opposed to classes. And that was part of a very long discussion that covered a lot of things, but that was really, I guess, something you all needed to have.
It is, and in a nutshell, the playoff structure we have in place now, which was spawned from the definition of select, which has now been approved and ratified by membership. We need to ratify that at the January convention. So the dialogue that you heard today, and about all those potential variables, as you said, districting in divisions, is good dialogue. We don't want to have it, and thank you both for hanging with us, at least publicly wise. It was done with transparency and in public meeting. I'm glad you were there, so you're able to witness that. The minutes will reflect that.
Yeah.
But with that said, now we need to ratify in January that item and others that are coupled with it that were moved down from last year's convention, get that ratified. From what I'm told, I knew we were going to, I felt confident going into the meeting that we had, the special meeting we had for the definition, but you just never really know.
Right.
But you saw the numbers. Well, I'm told that the numbers in support of the playoff structure we have is greater than that. It's just there's specific items of concern, districting by divisions, adjusting the PowerPoints, which we have in place for the convention now to be voted on as it is, making those individual variable changes that makes it a better format. Got it. We're going to do that. We're hearing you. We're going to get that. It just takes time. You can't do it immediately. It just doesn't work that way. Specifically with the program we have, PowerPoints drives a lot of this, but points taken about the district play, individuals belonging in different divisions in that specific district, point taken, point taken, point taken. We're going to make the adjustments as necessary, but we got to get past, like you said, that ratification of the playoff structure in January.
Well, I mean, a couple of things were thrown out there that I guess we'll maybe loosely mention. The fact that you have the possibility was discussed that maybe you wait until after January to attack some of this, and different possibilities that you all might look at. I know y'all are going to have a busy next couple of days.
And I think that once we were able to get the ratification of the playoff structure in place, that gives us the basis of the ground level of what we can now do to make that better.
Sure.
And then we do that. The meetings at that point after that can be monthly. It can be, I think, a recommendation of a potential, I would call it a competition committee. I just made that up or something like that, just to help with the process. We already have the school relations committee put in place, but that's more for the select, non-select, which at the moment is not the big driving issue here. It's about the overall playoff structure and making it equitable for everybody across the state, which we've done. I truly believe we've done that with the format we have in place. So timeline, what we need to try to, if making adjustments, there's only one way we can make any adjustments that will be implemented in 24, 25, 25, 26 with what you just brought up is executive committee doing it under 4.4.4, which we have the authority to do. But if we know going in that we have the support to do that by the membership, then at that point we can make that knowing that we're going to implement it for the next 2 years, and then it would be ratified the following January in the convention of 25. That could be that could be one route to do this. Anything other than that would be a lot of maneuvering, and I'm not so sure that I, as your executive director, or the committee as the executive committee, are prepared to do that.
I was gonna say, because you know, moving forward, you kind of have to be careful with the 4.4.4 is a sticking point for a lot of people, even though a lot of people want this. So it's kind of like
Yep.
consequences and actions.
And at times, the rub is always a process versus progress. And we're still moving forward, making progress. Whatever we have to do to make it right, to get it right for the student athletes of Louisiana, we're going to do it. And whatever that process means, we'll do that. And the committee is supportive of getting some of that stuff done, as you heard from comments. Every individual in the room, every classification today spoke. 5A to C on potential adjustments that can be made to not only assist their classification, but could assist their division, but could assist the overall better of the association, which is, I feel, is a good committee to do that.
Now, by constitution, the basic thing coming up in 2 weeks, you're still classifying by classes.
That is correct. 5A, 4A, 3A, 2A, 1A, B, and C, descending order. Yes, ma'am.
So, I know there was talk about having a look at what it would look like both ways.
And the conversation is good to have, and we had it publicly. So there's no. But at the end of the day, I think it was mentioned, and I mentioned it publicly before, I think to both of you.
Yeah.
That we need to have those classifications in place left in the Constitution, because that's the composition of the executive committee.
That's right.
But I also stated today, which I'm hoping you recorded as well, that if eventually we're going to change from 5A to C descending, then we would change it to divisionals. We're an association Division 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Of course, that's the 5 divisions, and we'll go from there. But that would take 67. That would take 2/3 vote. That would change the Constitution. But that does not prohibit what we have going on right now with the simple majority vote of membership. So whether we ever change that or not in the Constitution is not going to affect what we do now, because then we would have to check. We would look to change not only the composition of the committee, as I said today, if we change that by division, I don't want to eliminate, we want to have the same representation from the state across, no matter what we call it. But right now, it's etched in stone, it's in the Constitution. We're going to leave that alone. And if later on, once we get all this into place, could be 4 years from now, and someone wants to make that, or the next classification wants to make a recommendation to make a change, so maybe it's not so confusing or not confusing, if you will, then so be it. We'll do the proper way to do it. We'll take it to the convention, and it'll take 2/3 vote to change it.
Yeah.
Right? But the committee cannot change constitutional items under 4.4.4, nor are they ever going to entertain to do so. We know that.
Why would you?
Correct.
And when you look at it, I know there's a possibility talked about nothing for January. That's what I keep telling everybody. You can't vote on anything that's major like this for January because the agenda is already set.
Correct.
Anything that would be voted on in 25, but it would go into effect the next year.
It could.
It could.
Yes, ma'am. It could. Procedurally, it could.